you created r/the race to 10 million. I'm curious, why did this resonate with so many people? Because it has like 500,000 members. And what is so important about getting a $10 million net worth?
It all started as a kind of inside joke with me and a couple other Redditors that like we were all kind of racing our own ways to 10 million and see who gets there first. I mean, obviously it's just like a nice big number. And we created a subreddit. We're basically posting like updates and screenshots, and like, I made it first, and there was like a spreadsheet of like, where everyone was at. And it actually kind of died down for a little bit between like 2020 and 2023. But somewhere in the middle, I think it crossed like a magical number just like on its own, like around like 25,000 members. And I think that's when it started getting trending on the front page.
Wow.
Right. And I mean, that was my favorite part of Wall Street Bets. It was the gain porn and loss porn, right? Like the big kind of numbers on the screenshots. And so people just started posting their crazy gains on the race to 10 million. It was like the perfect forum for it. And so I kind of cleaned it up a little bit. I started promoting it. And Wall Street Bets at that time, I mean, it just started turning into like an Instagram meme page. Right?
It turned a bit into a cesspool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. No one was actually sharing any real DD. You couldn't follow like people's stories. And so I think the race to 10 million kind of filled that gap.
What gets unlocked at a $10 million net worth? Why is that number so important?
I mean, first and foremost, I live in California. It's a very, very expensive state. And I think, if you want the modern life that social media it sells to you these days, right? It is very expensive. Like whenever I post something like that, people are like, "Oh, you can move to Southeast Asia. You could just like, buy this kind of house in Tennessee or something like that," right? But like yes, you can live and I can retire, for 50, 60 years probably in Thailand, right? But do I want to, right? Like, and I think you've talked about this on your videos often, right? Like the what people want in a house, right? Compared to like 30 years ago, people can't stand single pane windows, right? They want central air. Like the quality of life that we want has dramatically increased. And you could blame social media for that. You could blame a lot of things for that, but we're also just still humans, right? Like we get fed, this information unwillingly, and that kind of raises our own bar for like what we expect. And happiness is basically expectation minus reality, right? And so if your expectation because of just various social media and life tells you that you need to, be able to send your kids to this kind of daycare or go on vacation twice a year or something like that, like that's kind of like, unfortunately, what you expect from life now. And so like, even at $10 million, that's not going to survive me for 60 plus years. Like I've done the math. Like it's very expensive to live and you're not even taking into account inflation and like who knows what happens in the future, right? Because again, like if you retire, you're probably not going to be able to get a job if you're out of the workforce for 10 years. Right?
So are people misguided then? And they have their sights set on $10 million when in actuality it should be more?
I think so, actually.
How much higher?
There's this really good report from the Hampton Club. And they had this PDF where they kind of did a survey and then got all these like numbers and results and feelings around them, right? And I think it quoted $50 million as the number where you just stop worrying, right? You just stop worrying. And no matter what happens, you could tank it. The market goes down.
But I will say, because I saw that survey and I did a whole video on that survey because I found it very interesting. A lot of those people don't have 50 million liquid. It's 50 million net worth.
That's fair.
And a lot of that net worth could be tied up in their company or private equity. Who knows?
So the liquid amount is lower.
I would argue that the liquid amount is lower, but according to that, it was a 50 million net worth. That was the point
psychologically
where people cared more about legacy and doing something with purpose than they did about making more money. But under $50 million, they cared more about making more money in terms of importance of there's that and also family and everything else. But that was still on the radar.
You're still worried, still stressed. Like, if the market had a bad year, crap, now I need to like grind again.
So explain then your logic. You had this race to 10 million Reddit. This was clearly your fire or your fat fire goal was 10 million financial independence, retire early. You wanted to race to $10 million net worth. You did exactly that, swing trading, going all in on individual stocks. But then once you hit that net worth, you threw it all into ETFs. And so explain this cognitive dissonance where you think that actual freedom is higher than 10 million. You raced to 10 million, but then once you hit it, you did exactly what one would do to kind of slow down and preserve their capital instead of like race to a higher net worth.
Yeah. So, this was my grind, right? Like I made it to $10 billion and essentially it's my nest egg now. I think it's also compounded by the fact that I can't really access it. It's in my 401k. If I withdraw from it, I get taxed it turns into income tax and a 10% early withdrawal penalty. Right, and that's really significant, right? So it's essentially like I kind of think of it like a trust fund that I created that you're not supposed to touch. Like maybe I'll withdraw from it to top off, or I want to buy something nice, and I have withdrawn like a few million from it, right, for life stuff. But you're not supposed to, and I think that keeps me hungry too. Like I want to make my legacy, I want to make my impact and success, through my startup, through the old-fashioned way, right? Actually have present like make something impactful for people, a real business. And this is just it's a safety buffer now, right? So rather than continue to go all in on that and the stresses that come with trying to do that for $10 million, that's parked in index funds. It's gonna double in 10 years. That's 20, right? It's gonna double again in 10 years. Like why not just wait and use my time in something else?
And so then how is your current net worth divided up? How much money is in your 401k?
Yeah, I have currently I think $11.5 million in the 401k. That's divided up in $55 million in SPY, $5.5 million is QQQ, and I think close to millions in DRAM, memory chips, and then I have the Robinhood all-in account that's currently at $52K that I trade with and look at every day, and then the rest is just like savings and the house.
See, I never liked the 401k.
Yeah,
I hated it. I hated the idea of foregoing taxes today and paying taxes later.
Yeah.
Because in my perspective, taxes, I think, are going to be higher in the future.
Right.
Especially, I think, in California, where you are.
Right. Well, so this gives me options. I don't have to be in California when I withdraw.
But you're still going to have to pay federal income taxes.
Sure. Yes. And that can change in the future, right? And so, that is a small risk I'm taking. But I like to have, now I'm, kind of like trying to justify it and how it works and all that kind of stuff and strategize around it. But this was all a happy accident.
But if you could have done it differently, would you prefer to have done it in a Roth or in a taxable account? Anything other than a 401k?
Definitely a Roth. I get quite depressed when I run the numbers. And you know what's funny is the reason I didn't do it in a Roth, right? Like I said, I started January 2020 with $35K in the 401k. I had the option to transfer to Roth to do the rollover, but then that means I would have had to use my own cash to pay the tax for the rollover, which was around $12K.
Oh.
I was like, I don't want to pay $12K out of pocket for this rollover.
But it was a few $1 million mistake.
Yeah. I mean, in hindsight, right? But you never know. No one expects a 401k to turn into $10 million, right?
Well, you did.
Yeah.
You certainly did, and you still didn't pay it.
I still would suggest doing it in a 401k and Roth because, again, psychologically, you can't touch it. And I think that saves you a lot of stress and pressure from down days or whatever. And also, it just feels compartmentalized. Right? Versus in your taxable brokerage account, you got to worry about all these things and taxes, and you can withdraw from it anytime you want.
So how much should the average person aim to save?
I mean, you just got to figure out the life you want to live, right? And double it. I mean, there's a fire math, right? For 4% of your net worth, right? As your kind of average yearly spend, right? And so, but I think it is important to double it. There's very few people who've actually retired early and tell stories about you always want to avoid the worst case scenario. And to me, a worst case scenario is you retire early because you thought you hit a number, right? 5 to 10 years pass, something happens, maybe like a black swan or something like that, a market tanks, or you made a mistake or accident, who knows, whatever, right? Something miscalculated. Now you're 10 years out of a job. How do you bounce back?
Now, really quick, every business is asking themselves the same question. How do we make AI work for us? The possibilities are limitless, but guessing is too risky, and sitting on the sidelines is not an option because one thing is certain. If you're not doing it, your competitors are already making their move.
And that's where our sponsor NetSuite by Oracle comes in. It's the #1 AI cloud ERP, trusted by over 43,000 businesses to manage everything from financials and inventory to commerce, HR, and CRM, all in one unified system.
When all of your data is in one place, your AI becomes a lot smarter. It doesn't just guess. It knows. NetSuite intelligently automates routine tasks, delivers real-time insights, and helps you make fast, confident decisions that actually help drive growth.
And it's not just an add-on, it's AI that's literally built right into the system that runs your business, helping you cut costs, improve accuracy, and stay ahead of the competition.
Whether your company is making millions or even hundreds of millions, NetSuite gives you visibility and control to keep moving forward. Honestly, if I were building a business of this size, NetSuite's the only company that I have 100% confidence in.
So if your revenues are at least in the seven figures, get our completely free business guide, Demystifying AI, at netsuite.com/clips.
Again, the guide is free for you at netsuite.com/clips, netsuite.com/clips, with the link down below in the description.